What's going on, guys? Chris here with Forge Through Faith. Today's Technique Tuesdays, I'm going to be talking about the snatch. So if you spent any time in CrossFit or weightlifting, you've probably seen a snatch technique video, okay? So I not only want to go through the steps of the snatch itself, but also drills and techniques I use for common faults in my program design, okay? So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the snatch itself, because if you've been in even a CrossFit class, you've probably heard these cues before. But you want your hands wide enough so that the bar sits in the middle of your hips. You want to, bar's going to be at about mid-shin when it has weights on it. I want to sit my butt down and kind of squeeze my shoulder blades back, okay? I worked with a weightlifting coach. He said to squeeze in the middle of your back. And then I like to think about bending the bar in half, almost like trying to bend the bar in half, turn my thumbs forward. Okay, so here I'm in a good solid position. My hamstrings are active, my glutes are active. I'm going to push my feet through the floor. My chest angle never changes. As I drive up, I'm using my lats to pull the bar into my hips. And then I extend straight up, pulling the bar nice and tight to my body. And I drop and punch underneath. Okay, again, if you spend any time in class, you've heard those cues. But as the human body and the brain works, you hear those, you try to do those, and it's not what happens, okay? So some common faults I see, the number one common fault I see is people try to rip the bar off the floor, okay? What do I mean by that? So this is a PVC pipe, but let's say the bar's heavy. People step to the bar like, all right, this is heavy. I gotta really pull this thing hard. So they get set up, first thing they do, and they try to pull this so hard off the floor that their butt shoots straight up, and now the lift is screwed, okay? So basically, guys, you want to think about, in weightlifting, we don't do anything slow, but we move in that first pull under control. So you want to think about pulling fast, faster, fastest, okay? So that pull from the floor is nice and smooth, nice and under control, okay? Once you start to get towards the knees and past the knees, that's when things really speed up, okay? But the problem is a lot of people will try to pull with one speed, and when that happens, they do what I call ripping the bar off the floor, and their butt shoots up, okay? So the question is, okay, how do I correct this? Okay, the way I correct it, guys, is a lot of, I'll do some tempo pulls, so I'll have the person step to the bar, find that good position. I talk to them about good position, and we'll do some tempo pulls. Nice and slow, up to the hips, and then we'll get back down and get set again. Nice and slow and under control. This way, they feel where their hips and their chest should be, what that chest angle should look like, and they're not driving those hips straight up, okay? The other thing I'll do is just some regular snatch pulls, okay? So I get them set up. Once we do our tempo work, our slow pulls, we'll get set up, then I'll just do a standard snatch pull, okay? Because again, we want to teach that nice, solid, tall pull and pulling from the floor with that good chest angle, okay? And then additional cues are things like, nice and control from the floor. Don't rip it off the floor. So those are a couple drills that I'll use for folks who are ripping the bar off the floor and then shooting their butt up, okay? Another common fault I see is as they get into the middle section of their lift, they send the bar away, okay? And this could be a couple reasons. The two most common ones I see is that their extension is forward instead of up, okay? This bar pass should be straight up and down, guys, because you want to get the bar from here to here, and the easiest way that's done is in a straight bar path, or as straight as possible, okay? So once we get to here, I'm being patient, keeping my shoulders over the bar, and I'm extending straight up, not driving the hips forward, okay? Another reason why that might happen is their back is nice and loose, okay? Where it should be tight. So if I'm loose up top and I extend straight, well, there's nothing squeezing this bar into my body, okay? So with those two faults in mind, when someone is driving the bar away, again, something I do is snatch pulls. I really like working on the pulls, guys. I had a weightlifting coach tell me that if you can pull from the floor and be perfect through the pull, the catch is almost an afterthought. Not an afterthought, but it's almost a guarantee, because the lift, more often than not, if you don't catch it, it's because you screwed it up somewhere in the pull, okay? So I'll work on snatch pulls and focus on pulling, having that person pull straight up. Even something like a pause snatch pull I've done before, where I get set up, I drive, I pull, and I make the person hold it here, okay? You have to be in good control and good balance to hold it here. If you're driving the hips into it, it's hard to hold that and you're gonna fall down, okay? Now, the reason why the bar is going away is because your back is loose, all right? Super simple. I'll have the person, maybe grab a PVC pipe or a bar and focus on, from the midsection, sweeping the bar into their hips. Sweeping the bar into their hips. I'm still over the bar. Now I can extend here. Or even so much as taking a bar, tying the band around the rig, and then the band around the bar, and having them use those lats to pull the bar in with the band resisting it, so they feel that resistance, they get that tactile cue to keep the bar nice and tight. Okay, and then like we talked about receiving the bar, most people don't have really a fault here per se, other than maybe being soft with their shoulders and maybe having a weak upper back. So let's say that's the case and we need to strengthen their upper back. I'll do things like various rows, or I love the crossover symmetry to build shoulder strength and upper back strength. But another one I've started to do recently is a behind the neck snatch push press. Okay, so if people are doing a snatch push press incorrectly, you'll see their shoulders kind of slouch as they go to drive, and then things get wobbly, right? So I need to make a big proud chest. I need to squeeze those shoulder blades together and then dip and drive so I can lock out that receiving position. Okay, again, that's not a huge one I see, but on the offshoot that the receiving position is the issue, just because you're soft up there, that's what it'll do. The main faults I see, guys, is people ripping it off the floor and then screwing it up in the middle and driving the bar away, assuming the start position is right, okay? Guys, priority number one is the start position. You're not moving the bar yet. So if your coach isn't working with you on that first, that's a problem. So I work with my athletes on the start position first, but once we get that, we're able to get moving. That's kind of what we do from there. All right, guys, so if you have any additional questions on the snatch, just feel free to reach out and start doing those drills to fix those positions.